It's why I think we had a little over 500 people register for this brunch this week, because we're going to be talking financing. We're going to be talking how to acquire capital, how to find down payments, with none other than Mr. Chris Souza from Sherwood Mortgage Group. How you doing, Chris?
What's up, Jazzy boy, my man? How are you?
We are amazing, buddy. Look, you and I and Simos and REC all together, we've been doing business and helping investors, first-time buyers, move-ups, buyers and sellers as well, but mostly investors for the last 15 years with acquiring financing. And so we thought, what better time than nearing the end of the year to have this conversation? So we're going to touch on a few things today. We're going to touch on, if you're a new investor watching this and you have no idea about the financing process, you're hearing about all these rate changes, Bank of Canada, what's going on with variable and fixed, we're going to talk to you today. We're also going to speak to the group of people that have 0 to 5 properties in their portfolio now. You're what we call a seasoned investor. And so financing changes from 0 to 5 properties. Then the third group of people that we want to talk to are veterans, like the guys and gals that are like, they can do this brunch on their own if they wanted to. When you have 5 properties and more, now financing gets definitely gets tougher, but not impossible. A lot of people, because they walk into a bank, they hear that, well, oh, you have 5 properties or more, we can't finance you. It's why we always discuss, Simos, you do this very, very well with our team as well as our clients, where you talk about, and we talk about, the importance of working with an independent mortgage broker.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Making sure that you understand that the banks, they're not a nonprofit organization. So the red bank is not going to talk about the green bank, and the green bank's not going to talk about the blue bank, and so on and so forth. And so working with an independent mortgage broker, they have access to hundreds upon hundreds of lenders that even Simos and I, being in the real estate business for 15 years, we don't even know half of these guys and gals. So Simos, why don't you just touch on that as well, my man?
Yeah. So first and foremost, welcome to REC Brunch, Chris. We're so happy and honored to have you. And as Jas said, we have a very long working relationship. We've literally done, I would say at this point, thousands of deals together, legit. So for as far as anyone in the audience is concerned, Chris is not the only broker that we work with, but Chris is definitely probably the longest running broker on our roster, who has, and I'm not saying this for nothing, it's Chris, above and beyond being a tremendous friend, from a capacity and work ethic and getting the job done. Unless you can do the job that you promised and signed on to do, you're not going to be on this roster. Just like us, any member in the audience who comes to us to transact, to get advice, to consult, to do what they need to do. If we can't do the job, they won't be here. So Chris has been doing a relentless, incredible job for us for a very long time. And the reason I'm saying this is not to plug Chris, it's to plug work ethic, commitment to the craft. And at this point, with thousands of deals under your belt, I think I'm establishing credibility in what you have to say. So I want the audience to truly pay close attention to some of the strategies that he's going to share, because just like us, we don't hide the secret sauce. There is no secret sauce. We're going to share exactly what we do.
That's why we wrote the book on it. How to buy on your own, how to sell on your own, how to invest on your own. There's no cost for this. If you have not received this book yet, just send us an email at info@REC Canada and let us know that you want a book. But we're also going to be speaking about how you're going to be able to get in touch with Chris. And we think it's very important that you do it during this time of the month of December, just before the 2021st, in my opinion. Why? Because we find over the years that most investors start to put their feet up because it's starting to get cold outside. But the best deals are found during this time, because if a seller has a property for sale right now, they're allowing people to walk in, A, because of COVID, but B, just like get all that slush in their homes. You know that that they're quite motivated. So there's a great, not even a great opportunity possibly that you can take advantage of. But before you actually even go out shopping, you need to know what you're qualified for. How are you going to get the financing? Fixed versus variable. What's going to be your rates? What's going to be your cost of borrowing? So, Chris, can we just high level for a sec talk about, at the time of this recording, we're December 4th or something like that today, or 5th, I apologize. What's going on with interest rates right now? What's happening? What can somebody get a fixed rate for? What can somebody get a variable rate for?
Oh, and I want you to pinch yourself first too.
Rates are low, Jazzy, as we all know. They're extremely low, variable and fixed. The spread between the two is very close to each other. It does come down to strategy. I always like to say and think, with my own portfolio, that variable does always win, but it also depends on the risk, right? Everyone has their own risk tolerance around on fixed and variable, and some people have to lock in for that 5 years, because I may not be able to do anything for them for the next 5 years anyways. So
now, when you say you might not be able to do something for them for the next 5 years, what do you mean? Just elaborate on that for a second.
Because in terms of, if they need to be able to hold on to their property, they need to keep it for 5 years. First-time investors are very similar to the first-time home buyer, if you want to call it. There's an educational piece around it from start to end. You're buying your first home as your principal residence to get into the market, to get outside of renting or to move out from home. But as a first-time investor, it's what do you do in terms of rates, like you're asking, and do you go on a variable, do you go on a fixed? And that's what I do. I map it all out for you, and I tell you exactly where you are today, where you need to be in 3 years, what your 5-year goal is, and what do you do at that 7-year mark in order to complete your transaction from start to end.
Now, we might have somebody who's watching right now that's actually like in the process of doing a deal. And so I want to bring them some value. What are you seeing? And we won't quote you on it. It's only us. We're not even recording it. I'm kidding. We are recording it, and there's hundreds of people watching. But what are you seeing from a fixed? Like what is a range for a fixed rate for 5 years? And then what's a variable rate? And I know you mentioned the spread's not that big, but I actually want to make sure that we give some type of value in that sense.
Sure. But let's be a little bit more specific. We're talking investors. We're talking investing on rental properties. There's always a premium on the rate on a rental property. And that's always going to be in range between 10 to 15 basis points. So on a rental, depending on the lender, we can get between 2.09, 2.19. There's that prime plus 15 points that.
Chris, I'm just going to stop you. To everyone listening, the reason there will always be a premium on a rental property is because it's risk-based. Owner-occupied, so if you were just think of logical risk, if you live in a home and you were to miss a mortgage, would you miss the mortgage of the home that you live in, or would you miss the mortgage of your investment property first? So if everyone can just use that as a benchmark, understand why every time, no matter what, an investment property is going to have a premium. Continue, Chris.
Absolutely. And that premium ranges based on the lenders that we go to as well. And when I draw out that financial blueprint for all of the investors, it's where are they today? How much what does that rate look like? And how do we grow their portfolio to help them achieve their goals in purchasing multiple properties? And that takes time. In any business, in any relationship, it takes time to grow, and it's patience. One thing I can tell you, it's patience.
Now, when you're preaching to the choir in that sense with us, I mean, I think we've coined that real estate is definitely a marathon. It's not a sprint. To create wealth in real estate. It's long term. You can't day trade it. It's not like a stock, right? You're not going to be looking at what's happening with my values today compared to yesterday. That's not how real estate really works. And I think the guys and gals that are watching, we've drummed that enough